So it's been too long that I haven't been recording. Some of the problems disappeared. It's time to get back into the routine of recording again, but I don't feel quite ready yet to jump right back into this big complicated storyline which I started, which I promised. But here's something that I want to do. Why don't I try and play the game kind of like normal people do, except in my custom Rescale install. Look at that big warning, shoot deployment unsafe. Can we get rid of that? I really hate seeing that. That came from Deadly Reentry. It's an awesome mod. Anyway, I made this, here's my version of a Saturn V with much cooler colors. I know it looks kind of like a Duracell battery, and I'm totally okay with that. I like the way it looks. I've experimented with other things here. Let's see, one's on 6 main sails, it's like 7 meters across. It went and installed these Perfectrons. These are like better Separatrons. Hey, let's try that. There's our jettisoning the payload fairings and the escape, the launch escape tower. And you can see there, yeah, there's my command module, service module, and there's the LEM, lunar module, LEM, whichever one you choose to call it. It's all stacked in there. Yeah, that trick with pulling the first stage out of the way works so nice. Let's try it again with the second stage. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think just traditionally in the past I've kind of ignored this whole system that real rockets have, but I think I like it. I also like the way this portion of the vehicle looks. Yeah, the proportions wise, it looks like something that'd fly through outer space. I know that the real Apollo didn't have these big fold-out solar panels, but you know, maybe he should have, because it looks cool. Yeah, okay. So we set up the maneuver node in order to get to a 100-kilometer orbit, flyby by the moon, and come back for free return. And it looked up, it's going to use almost every single bit of this third stage. Whenever I'm done with the burn, I end up having just single digits worth of meters per second of delta V remaining in that stage. And you know, if I were doing this totally authentically, then I should be able to have enough, you know, once I decouple the vehicle from that stage, I should be able to push the spent stage out into. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, set this up. Here we do a little bit of fine tuning. That takes just about the last few remaining vapors of fuel. Anyway, I should be able to put that third stage out into a solar orbit, but here it's just not going to work. So yeah, what am I left with? Like 3 meters per second, and I used that the very last bits of fuel to try and correct the inclination error. Okay, but yep, it's done. Here's one thing Apollo did. I think they did it just because they knew that docking two spaceships together is so much fun. This is what the lessons that a Kerbal Space Program teaches us, is that docking things is fun. And so they deliberately built the stack in this fashion so that we could get just another dock there in the middle. I wish I could figure out why, you know, why my docking ports keep bouncing off of each other like that. All right, bye-bye third stage, yeah, and here we are in our cruise configuration. Again, yeah, I'm not trying to just perfectly duplicate Apollo. I'm just making something that is very similar to it. Both just because I haven't traditionally done something like this. I wanted to try something new for myself, and also as a means of getting more experience with this custom rescaled configuration I have, to be certain that I understand the delta V relationships and everything that it'll take. Yeah, decided that Jeb and Bill are going to go into the lunar module. Bob is going to stay in the command module. Yep, here's my 3.2 scaled moon at a 10 scale distance, so it takes a day and a half to get there. It works out that as compared to just the 6.4 scaled system that I was using, that the overall delta V requirement is just about the same. It's within a couple hundred meters per second of delta V. Yep, alright, LEM is about to go. I alternate, sometimes I call it the LEM, sometimes I call it the lunar module. Just in this configuration, you need a little bit less delta V in the lander and a little bit more in the transition stage, but the total delta V is just about the same. I think that thing looks so cool. It doesn't look quite as cool as the real LEM. And nearly speared the command module with that big antenna. I know that the real lander didn't have the fold-out solar panels, just like the real command module didn't. But It should have. It looks cool, you know? Alright, yeah, found a likely looking crater. Looked like a pretty good landing spot. Go for it. I'm going kind of contrary to tradition. I believe that Bill is actually flying my my lander, and Jebediah he's being a mission specialist or some other such thing. Jebediah doesn't always have to fly, you know. And I don't know. I think I looked at this big cluster of craters, and I thought that might be the terrain might be too rough, so I decided to go for this smaller crater instead. My plan is to set this thing down on the right on the rim. I want to be land like right on the border between the plains and the crater. Remember that landing something on the 6.4 scaled moon, it tends to be very, very flat. And this I really wanted to take a good look at, you know, using the 3.2 scale. You can see some of the big difference here. But it looks like it should be like a level spot right on the rim of this crater. So that's where I want to put it, because it's a steep slope inside and a gentler slope outside, but right on the rim I should be able to find something flat enough, right? Makes sense to me. I'm probably burning a little bit too much in this direction, realizing, whoops, I think I'm going to land short. Might have to fix this problem. Do I want to land in the crater? I was getting all wishy-washy where I was going to land. Crater, out of the crater, in the crater. I should probably make up my mind. But I found out that I've got, you know, hundreds of meters per second delta V reserve still remaining in the descent stage. So I think, you know, even though I wanted to give myself a healthy reserve, I've still got, maybe I overdid it. This lander is heavier than it needs to be. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and then I think I finally made up my mind. No, not inside the crater. Let's go ahead and let's go for the rim like I was originally planning. And of course, as having committed to that plan, now as I begin to approach, it looks like that rim, maybe there isn't so much of a flat spot as I thought there would be. That looks kind of a knife edge there, right up on the very top of that thing. And now I'm feeling really kind of antsy and uncertain as to whether this slope is actually going to be landable. Briefly considered actually doing an abort, considered going and landing, you know, significantly long, running for a few kilometers out there, out into the plain. It's really just wishy-washy about it. Where am I going to land? Just gain some more altitude, look around, look forward. Should I go further out there? And then I think decided, nah, this slope is good enough. This thing can land here. Sure, it'll work. I shouldn't worry about this stuff. Take a look at Jeb and Bill. They're both loving it. They are not concerned. So, yeah, we should take our lesson from them. Yeah, decided this lander just to keep the thing totally vertical. You know, use throttle to manage the vertical velocity. Use RCS translation to manage the horizontal velocity. Should have paid a little bit closer attention. Come on, descend. I so often do this whenever I'm landing. I accidentally put it into a slight climb. I didn't mean to do that, and I have to recover from that. And now it's probably drifting further from the edge of the rim of the crater than where I wanted it to be. But all right, just commit to it. Whatever the slope is, we're gonna deal with it. Just be certain to stop faffing around with it and just stick the landing. Come on. See that? See, we're slowing down. Almost put it into a climb there again. No, come on. You can land. Land. Go ahead. Go ahead. This hesitation is not good. Just do it already. And, okay, yeah, stuck that thing down. It rocked on the landing gear a little bit, but, you know, I think it was okay. Yep. And notice my two Kerbals having, once they're on the ground, neither one of them are pleased about this. Maybe they're noticing exactly how far this thing is tilting over. It's like a 12-degree slope. I should have been paying more attention to that. I decided I'm going to descend. Again, you know, I don't think that Jebediah needs to be the Kerbal all the time. So we send Bill out. Bill is going to be the first one to set foot right now. Okay, yeah, we'll clean up some of our info panels that aren't necessary at the moment. He climbs down the ladder. He's about to make his big moment. He says, Ta-da! That was fun, man! Because that's about as deep as Kerbals get, you know? And this is what counts for scientific experiment and seeing how high he can jump. So, having had his big moment, Bill shows a little more foresight than, say, Armstrong and Aldrin did, as he's going to attempt to put this flag far enough away from the lander so that it won't get knocked over. Let me see, what I can't remember. See, I'm doing this whole post-commentary, which I don't usually... Oh yeah, small steps. Yeah, that's what we decided to call the landing site and its name on the flag. And of course, now having, dithered around and overshot our landing zone by, I don't know, it's like a kilometer or something. Maybe not quite that much. Several hundred meters anyway. Bill decides that he's going to go have a look at this crater. And that vista right there... All right, he's going to get a little bit closer to it. Peeking up over the edge. Yeah, that view right there. This is enough to very definitely convince me that going with the 3.2 scale for the moon itself, and indeed most of the bodies in this system, that was the right decision. Because that looks pretty cool. I really do. And yeah, and Bill, he's saying, ooh, wow. Yeah, Bill really likes it. And of course, Jebediah is not going to let him have all of the fun. So we'll get Jebediah out here. Jebediah is not going to be doing a whole lot of sightseeing. He actually does have a job to do. I packed in these Kerbal Attachment System toolboxes on the bottom of the lander, I packed 2 scientific experiments in here. So Jeb, his initial job is I want him to set up a seismic experiment. Yep, there's all the different pieces. The plan is using Kerbal Attachment System to, okay, we're going to drop the cube core, the probe core, and it rolls down the hill. That's a problem. It's okay. Jeb's resourceful. You can stop it. Just stand in front of the thing, yeah. Anyway, we're going to use Kerbal Attachment System to assemble this scientific experiment in place. Yeah, I'm going to put some, I'll give it a tripod, and give it 3 little landing legs. I put put a solar panel on top to charge the thing up. All right, we'll stand it up, and that is suboptimal. Maybe I really shouldn't have landed on such an extreme slope. Maybe I should have built... I should have figured out a different way to put the legs together on this experiment. It's okay, and notice the thing landed in the shadow of the lander where it's not going to get any sun on there. So he'll kick it to get it out of the way. When kicking it doesn't work, he'll headbutt it, and that... headbutting it is much better. Once it lands in a semi-stable position, the plan is to not mess around with trying to get the tripod set up anymore, and instead we're just going to attach our batteries and our various scientific instruments to the thing where it stands. I tried rotated and extended that one landing leg just in an effort to give it some stability. So there's the Apollo 11 seismic experiment. It's going to measure seismic stuff. Having completed this task, Jebediah came and joined Bill on the edge of the crater just to look at the magnificent desolation, which he thought looked pretty damn cool. So, leaving Jebediah there to make certain the crater doesn't go anywhere, Bill decided to go back to the lander. Popped inside just long enough to refill all the resources in his EVA suit. And now Bill is going to go and set up the second experiment. His plan, he's just going to take the entire toolbox full of parts, and he's going to walk on over to a flatter spot. He notices that it is heavy enough, it's making him walk really, really funny. He says, I wonder if I can fly. And no, he's really heavy. There's enough mass in there. So, walking it is. Waddle, waddle, waddle. And more waddling. And more waddling. He looks funny. And more waddling as we got some magic boulders kind of levitating out here. But that is not the purpose of the experiment. He's going to need to set up a reflector. It's something that's supposed to reflect light. We're supposed to be people back on Kerbin should be able to see this. So we got a bunch of pieces in there. He's going to drop the box. Yeah, he's looking. Okay, that's right. He needs to first. He takes the probe core, notices that he can't hold onto that and the toolbox at the same time, and the toolbox starts attempting to sort of sink into the regolith, which could be a problem. So he doesn't really see a way to stop that from happening, so the plan is just assemble the experiment fast. And at least this level ground, that apparently did work. So yeah, there we are. We got 4 reflectors on there. They may look like solar panels. Trust me, the reflectors, there's the reflector experiment. 4 legs, 4 reflectors, battery, radio. What else does it need? Here, let's extend those legs and we'll see if it'll work. Oh, that looks much better than the tripod arrangement over on the seismic experiment. Okay, so yeah, let's extend our reflector panels, because that's the whole purpose of having the experiment there. Oh, that's working so smooth. No. Okay. Wait. Okay. Maybe. No, that may have been... that may not have been exactly what we're looking for, but nothing actually broke, did it? Yeah, retract the legs. I believe the plan is going to be here. We'll try extending all of the reflector panels first, then we'll extend the legs and see if we can avoid things glitching. Wait, ooh. Hello? Okay, this was not supposed to be a flying... okay. And there go 3 out of 4 reflector panels are shattered, and the component pieces sunk out of sight. Let's just stick the legs out there anyway. Okay. But it lands in a almost useful position. Sort of. Upon seeing this, Bill decided that to stop messing with it, because touching it is just going to make something else break, so he decided to leave it there. And again, he's going to go look at the crater, because the crater is big and shiny and curls like that. He liked it so much, he thinks he has to share the moment. He has to go talk with Jeb, who is still there. You can see that one glittering little pixel off in the distance. I very nearly killed Bill here. He landed right on the very edge, and that would have been sad if that had happened. Okay, so now Bill is going to take over the duties of monitoring the crater. Jebediah heads back to the lander. Having finished his observations of the crater, Bill heads back, because yeah, these guys' first time on the moon, they're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. I was trying to be all fancy and land and grab onto the ladder in flight and missed it. All right, just don't tell anybody. And we get back in there. I have to dump some experiments. Oh well, it's all right. So yeah, there was a couple of very productive hours on the surface of the moon, or I think maybe it's like 1 hour or something. It's several minutes anyway. We set the command module as our target. I'm just guessing. It's just a blind guess. I waited for a 15-degree phase angle, and I don't have a whole lot of practice at this whole just launching to a direct rendezvous. So there's probably a way to figure this out and do better than just a blind guess, but whatever that better technique is, I don't have it. I also totally screwed up. Look at this relative inclination. I am off by a ridiculous number of degrees, because I put my prograde vector on the wrong side of that 270-degree line. So yeah, I got that totally backwards. 2. I blame... Let me see, who's the first guy? I believe that was Jebediah. I blame Jeb. Noticed that whenever Bill was flying, things worked pretty well, but whenever Jeb took over and Jeb started flying, just chaos, man. Just stuff started going wrong. All right, not yet in orbit, but pretty close. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got time. We can take our time to fix that. So, if the descent stage of my lunar module, if it honestly had a little bit too much fuel, too much delta V, it was too heavy, I think that I estimated the ascent portion of it. I believe I got that pretty close. Alright, so yeah, so I decided to take my lunar module, I'll put it into a slightly higher orbit than the command module, and the command module did a slight burn with actually just using RCS, since I've got lots of monopropellant, and it's okay, it's okay to use it here, in order to set up an orbital rendezvous. This part, at least, just a simple orbital rendezvous, I have enough practice at it to feel fairly confident getting that part to work correctly. So we'll fold up all of the ascent modules, you know, little widgets that are sticking out that might harpoon the command module, and here we go. Go for docking. Docking is fun. I really enjoy it. Yep, except again, as soon as these things meet, it looks like it's lined up perfectly and bounce. It bounces a couple of times. I can't figure out why that's happening. All right, get everybody back, everybody out of the LIM, and everybody back into the command module. And now, in reality, the ascent module, see, in reality, the moon has these irregular concentrations of mass, which means if you leave something in a fairly low orbit, then the orbit, it won't stay circular, and eventually that module, it just sometime later it crashed just because of because the orbit wouldn't stay stable. I decided to cheat. I used our little bit of delta V remaining in that lunar module, and I just went ahead and crashed it anyway. And here we are. Yep, there is as fine a maneuver node as any I have ever seen. We're going to do a burn here in the backside of the moon, going for a 60 degree, not 60 degree, a 60 kilometer altitude. That's where our periapsis is once we get back to Kerbin. Doesn't that look pretty? I really do wish I should have done this. I should have waited like several days until we could have seen Kerbin rise with the sun illuminating the entire planet instead of it being mostly dark. Yeah, if I had to do it over again, I'd do it this way. Okay, here we go. I keep on fiddling around with deadly reentry. This latest version, I can't find a setting which is really working for me. Hard is too hard, and it's just the very instant you touch any atmosphere, you've got maximum reentry effects. Here, I just do a little bit of RCS to the side, just an avoidance maneuver. And here I'm using just like the normal settings, and I think it's actually it's a little bit too weak. Look at this, we hit atmosphere. Mach 26! Mach 26.6 and increasing. Yeah, that's cool. Yep. Oh, everybody always loves those re-entry effects. Doesn't that look good? Notice I'm using the real chute. I've got two things on here. I got a drogue chute and I got the main chute, and I staged them before I hit atmosphere because I have these things. So I set them up so that staging them doesn't actually open up the parachute. Staging them just arms them, and I chose in the vehicle assembly building. I chose at what altitude I want these things to deploy after I armed them. The point is, notice that I don't have that horribly annoying deadly reentry, it's unsafe to open your parachute warnings. I don't have that because they're already staged. So maybe that's a partial solution. Yeah, the 60-kilometer periapsis, that seemed to work out just fine. It braked just normally. I think our maximum G-force on the way down was only about 4 Gs. Used maybe, not even a quarter of my heat shield. Okay, yeah, there goes our drogue chute. Yeah, 15 kilometers above the surface, the drogue chute deploys. I actually set this up so that the drogue chute never completely opens. I just needed it to just pop out there and stabilize it some. At 5 kilometers above the surface, we simultaneously cut the drogue loose and release the main chutes, and then at 1 kilometer above the surface, we stop reefing those chutes and allow them to completely open and rest us a nice gentle 7 meters per second. Let's go ahead and ditch the heat shield just for some more explosions. Everybody loves explosions, right? Okay, there it is, Apollo. Maybe other people done it. It's my first time doing it, and here we're getting back into recording. We'll do the regular story stuff soon.